Anyone with an interest in real swords is probably well aware of the fact that movie swords tend to be very, very nonsensical and impractical. Mostly the reason for that is typically that they are oversized and they would weigh a ton and they would be poorly balanced and quite unwieldy. This, however, is an example of a different kind of problem, design flaw. It's from Eragon, and when I take a look at this, my immediate thought is, okay, this used to be a hand-and-a-half sword, or long sword, or bastard sword. Those are basically all different terms for the same thing. And then what happened was, the blade broke. It just completely broke off, and the user decided, let's see, I'm just gonna regrind this and taper it down, and then I'm just going to continue using it like this because I just cannot afford a new sword. The problem with this is, it is the wrong kind of hilt for the blade. Or the wrong kind of blade for the hilt, whatever. This, like I said, this is definitely a hilt for a hand-and-a-half sword. The longer grip here would allow you to generate a lot more power, usually. You get more leverage here, you can use both hands, and you would have a lot more impact for your strike. But the problem is, with this short blade, which also tapers down to a very fine edge, there is just not much weight behind this. Even though I could technically generate a lot of power here, it just lacks the mass, so it just wouldn't transfer well. Also, if you generate a lot of force here and have such a thin blade, this may actually shatter. So, yeah, the broken sword would then break again, I guess. So this is very, very weird. Also, you have a pretty short blade. This was, if this was a one-handed sword, this would be almost a short sword. In fact, yeah, you could probably classify it as a short sword. And if you use a sword with two hands, you already decrease your range. Let me just show this. If I use both hands, this is my maximum reach, because I have to square off to the target. However, if I use it one-handedly, you see enormous difference. So I do already shorten my reach by going with a two-handed grip. If I then also have a short blade, I'm at a severe disadvantage, because, I mean, I just cannot reach very far, obviously. And then you have this very fine point. This would usually suggest to me this is a thrusting sword. This would be very bad for cutting. If you... A dedicated cutting sword has a fairly wide blade, and just so that you have that mass that you need. But this here, this is so short, this part here would be barely able to cut at all. I mean, even most knives are wider than this. This right here, this is a rapier blade, basically. So, and this would be mostly what would connect, so that you would have at least a little bit of reach. And so you would connect with that part, mainly. Maybe with that. So it would be a very, very weak strike, and it would not cut very well. So this is just the wrong blade for the hilt. It makes no sense at all. If I had to use this in a fight, if I were forced to, I would be very unhappy with this. But if I had to, I would grip it here and use it like a one-handed sword. I would try to use it kind of like a rapier. I would go mainly for thrusts, because this is the strength of the blade. It would be a very poor cutting blade, but it would be pretty good for thrusting. Also, since it widens here, you would actually have easy penetration at the tip, and then it would widen the wound. So for thrusting, this is a pretty good blade, actually. But I mean, where's the point in that? But if you were to use it as a one-handed thrusting sword, for that it is a bit heavy, actually, with this large guard here, and also it would be a bit too wide at this point. So you just wouldn't have the speed that you would need for a thrusting sword to be very effective. So basically you're left with a hybrid that, rather than combine the best of both worlds, it just throws together everything that does not fit together and makes this pretty crappy. So yeah, what I said at the beginning, this looks like it was broken. Well, it is broken as far as its design is concerned.